All right, I got to clean the pitch off of a saw blade, table saw blade. I figure I'd just show you what I do here with this, because if you do this, you'll get cleaner cuts. Your blade, you're kind of prolonging the blade length, you know, the distance between times where you need to have your blades sharpened. Some people don't even sharpen their blades, they just buy new ones, but I buy expensive blades, so I have them resharpened. And I figured while I'm doing this, I'll show you a few of the blades that I rotate through and the purposes for them. And by the way, you know, I'm not claiming to be an expert. I've only been doing this stuff for, I don't know, 40 years or so. You know, I mean, longer really, as far as using table saws, ever since I was a kid. But I just figured I'd go over this week. Now, typically, I'll use simple green, and I'll spray that on the blade, like around the teeth here, and that's enough to break it down. I'll use something like this scratch pad, and I'll go in the opposite direction of the teeth. I don't want to go in this direction. I want to go like this, and that'll get them clean. But you can also use goof off. I'll try that right now. Oven cleaner. I mean, there's guys out there that have had luck with all kinds of things, but you get the picture. Anything that's caustic enough to break down the pitch on the blade. What am I talking about? Okay, let's let that sit there for a second. So here's a forest blade. This is a 70 tooth blade, I believe. It's etched on here. Yeah, no. It's a 40 tooth blade. But if you look close on the tips, you should see the pitch build up on there. All right. So that's going to burn the wood sometimes, and you know. Now this is a blade I use for ripping. I use it for hardwoods. I only use solid wood. Once in a while I use something else like plywood or an MDF, which I hate using. Whenever I'm using that stuff, I use this blade here, which is an 80 tooth blade. Okay? And I've already had this one sharpened before. And I bring it to a place over in the valley, and they cut my name and numbers and everything on the back of the blade, so they know what they're doing. This blade will stay sharp for a long time because I don't use it very often. Ironically, you know, when you're cutting a lot of plywood or MDF or something, those blades dull quick. I've got two other blades here. They're combination blades, okay? This one is a 55 tooth. You see the big gap here? What that means is I can cross cut and I can rip cut, which is mostly what I'm doing, is rips. I'll get a board here and I'll explain it to you in a second. But it's also good if I'm cutting hardwood or plywood. This will be fine in plywood usually. When I say cross cut or rip cut, what I'm talking about is ripping the board is running it down the table saw like this. So the blade is going in this manner. Okay? Cross cut would be if I set it up on a square on here and run it this way and the blade's cutting this way. I don't typically change the blade for that, even when I have my rip blade in there. Like when I'm cutting my shoulders for Morrison tendon and things like that. So let's see what's going on here. The problem with the goof off is that it evaporates too quick. I'm going to go back to this. The thing about the simple green is it doesn't evaporate, so it'll sit there and do its job. Let that sit there for a minute, and I'll keep talking. So I've got, as a matter of fact, this one here is a 50 tooth blade. This is my favorite blade because it works really well. It'll rip, it'll cross cut hardwoods, softwoods, and if I have to cut a piece of plywood through it, it usually cuts real well. Now, this blade here, which I used on this whole project, needed to be sharpened before I used it on this project. And it even has a few teeth that are damaged. I'm looking at one right there. We'll see that on camera, but that tooth right there, you guys can see that, got a little chip in it. I send these to a place in the valley. I forget the name of it. It's on Victory Boulevard. LA Grinding, I think it's called. And they can replace the teeth and sharpen the blade. And it is cheaper than buying a new blade. So that's the reason you do that. They also have a service where they will come and pick it up. And then they'll also deliver it. And that costs a few bucks. It's been so long since I've done it, I don't know what their rates are right now. They can also make me a bandsaw blade. You guys might remember what I went through when I started this project. I needed a bandsaw blade quick. And I need I think it's 100, Let me double check. I think it's a 145-inch blade. Bear with me. I wrote it down somewhere. I don't know why it's not on here. Dead air time, apologies. I don't know why, but I think it's 100. Sorry, you can't hear me. I think it's a 145-inch bandsaw blade that I need. I bought one that was available because it was going to take LA Grinding too long to make me a blade, but they can make me a blade, and it's affordable. So I'll have them make me one of those the next time I send these out. What I'll try to remember is the next time I'm going out of town for a period of time, or between projects or whatever, that's when I want to have this done, obviously. Because it's one of those things, you have to think ahead. And I just don't, there's so many things going on in life. It's funny, it's not funny at all, actually. I got a headache right now. You know why? I left my apartment this morning. I ride the bike down the driveway. There's tree trimmers, they block the driveway. So I go down the sidewalk. I could see some clippings, but there was 3 guys by the truck. I got no reason to believe that there's somebody up in a tree. And there's a guy coming up with 2 garbage cans, so he sees everything that's happening. He's looking at me, and I'm navigating, and a tree limb comes down, hits me right on top of the head. I got a splitting friggin' headache right now. I'm not too happy about that. It's more of a Sunday night chat thing, I suppose, but you can see here how much cleaner that is. I haven't wiped it off yet. I got to do the other side. Usually spray the other side, but I figure enough is gone through here. But that's it, just a real quick thing. I wanted to show you this, and because some people will say, use goof off. I sprayed the goof off on there. I talked to you for a couple seconds. The goof off had already dried. So it's not the best way to go. You're going to be better off using this. Like I said, oven cleaner might work for you. I think a lot of people recommend that. The thing with oven cleaner is it's real caustic. It's got a smell to it. I don't think it's healthy for you. I don't think it's good to get on your skin. With this, there's no problems. I get my fingers wet. Doesn't matter. You don't have to get these super shiny, by the way. It helps to get it all off. If you run into a situation where there's pitch buildup that's a little bit more stubborn, your options are let it sit longer with the simple green, and or just get in here with a little piece of wood, preferably a piece of hardwood, and just knock it right off. It'll come right off. Especially if this is a piece of hardwood like this piece of cherry here is. So that's it. Pretty straightforward stuff. The bottom line is that before you start any project, you should eyeball your blade. If it's not damaged, right? If there's no teeth that are chipped, and you can drag your fingernail across the sharp edge and it shaves your fingernail a little bit, it's still pretty sharp, but it might have pitch on it. Again, that's what the pitch looks like. You can see it on there. So what you want to do is you want to clean your blade. This one here has to be clean too. Normally I clean these before I put them away. Every time I take one out and change a blade out for whatever purpose I'm using it for, I'll do that. I guess I didn't do it with that. I guess I figured I was going to send that out to be sharpened. So again, before you start the project, take the time to clean your blade. You're going to get smoother running, cooler running cuts, less chance of burning. I mean, a lot of the time, if you get a little bit of a burn, it's because as you are cutting through, especially ripping, and especially hardwoods, if you're running through the saw and, sometimes that wood, well, all the time, you're releasing energy every time you cut the wood. So the board might pinch on itself or bow a little bit up against the blade away from the fence, and it's going to give you a little bit of a burn mark. But again, if you have a good sharp blade and it's clean and there's not a lot of pitch on it, odds are you're preventing that from happening for the most part. So it's a lot cleaner there. I'll be able to put that in the saw now. And but this needs to be sharpened too. This needs to be sharpened. Yeah, I don't recall what it's going to cost me to sharpen all 3 of these, but I got to send these out soon and have them done. It's good to have 2 of each style blade, right? If you're a professional, because You can use the blades that you're using, and you can send the second ones out, the second set out. And this way, if you're doing something and you know, your blades are being sharpened and you've got 3 of these to rotate around, really 4. If you're working on a project, but then something else comes in that you got to knock out real quick, and you got to change the blade because of what you're cutting. That's why you have different types of saw blades. There's a lot of people, they put a saw blade in their table saw, maybe a combo blade, and they run that combo blade for everything. They never change it out. They use the same blade for everything, and it doesn't bother them that the cut is such that you get all this tear out. I'm trying to avoid tear out, especially if I'm cross-cutting shoulders for doors, right? For mortise and tenon joints, because I don't want that shoulder cut to have a whole bunch of blowout. I try to avoid that as much as possible. It just adds more work in the finish when you get to that point. So keep your blades sharp, keep them clean. Prolonging the life of the blade, number one thing is clean the pitch off the teeth. Very simple. You just saw me do it. This is good enough right there. That's fine. There's still some pitch on the face of the teeth there. I'm not going crazy with that because it doesn't matter. The face of the tooth doesn't matter. The cutting edges, the sides and the top, that's what really matters. I mean, if it was caked on, that would be a problem. It wouldn't be a big deal for me to take this scratch pad here, which is just nylon. It's not going to hurt anything. I can go in there and clean that out. I could get a thin stick, just not what I want to use here, but I could take something like that. I can get in there on the faces and just do this on every one of them if I want to, just to knock the funk off. I'm not worried about it here because I know this is all loose enough where my first cut there, it's going to fly off. It's going to get collected by the dust collection system underneath there. I'm going to be fine. So real simple step. You should take the time to do this. That's all I'm saying. All right. Hope this helps somebody. I hope I feel better. Crazy. I know I should have stopped and been like, and fallen over on the bike because my neck does hurt a little. I'm sure I'll be fine. Boy, it was loud too. Clunk right there on my head. Right there. But I had to get to work. I'm behind on stuff. I got to get things done. I ain't got time to bleed. It's like Jesse Ventura. I ain't got time to stop and complain about getting hit in the head with a friggin' tree limb. I got to get to work and get stuff done. It's going to be miserable for the rest of the day. That's it. Have a good day. Be kind to one another. Now you know. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.